You know that moment when you finally get paid? And for about 12 seconds, life feels peaceful. Your bank account looks healthy. You start thinking, okay, this month is going to be different. You're going to save more. You're going to stop wasting money. You're going to be responsible. And then the bills hit. Rent, groceries, gas, subscriptions you forgot existed, a random birthday dinner, a car repair. And somehow, before the month is even over, you're looking at your account thinking, wait, where did all the money go? And the worst part is, this doesn't just happen once. It happens again and again and again. And what makes it even more frustrating is that every generation thinks they're the first generation dealing with it. Boomers thought they had it hard. Gen X thought they had it hard. Millennials thought they had it hard. Gen Z definitely thinks they have it hard. And honestly, everyone is kind of right. But here's the thing. The biggest financial mistake most people make isn't buying coffee. It isn't eating out. It isn't even using credit cards. The biggest mistake is this. Every generation builds a lifestyle before they build financial stability. And once that lifestyle becomes normal, it becomes almost impossible to go backward. That's the mistake. And today, we're going to break down why this keeps happening, why it feels so normal, and how to avoid repeating it in your own life. My name is Jack, and I spend way too much time thinking about why every generation repeats the same financial mistakes. If you're someone who feels like your income keeps going up but your financial stress never really goes away, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Look, I know money advice can get annoying, because a lot of it sounds like this. Just spend less. Just invest more. Just stop buying things you don't need. And technically, that's not wrong. But it's also not very helpful, because most people already know they should save more money. Most people already know credit card debt is bad. Most people already know investing early is smart. The real question is, why don't we do it? Why does every generation look back and say, I wish I started earlier? Why do people get raises and still feel broke? Why do families make more money than their parents did, but still feel like they're barely keeping up? This is where it gets really interesting. Because the mistake isn't just mathematical, it's psychological. And once you understand both sides, money starts making a lot more sense. The mistake usually starts quietly. Nobody wakes up one day and says, you know what? I think I'll ruin my financial future. It starts with one upgrade. You get your first decent paycheck, and suddenly the apartment you used to tolerate feels too small. The old car feels embarrassing. Cooking at home feels inconvenient. Your phone feels outdated. Your clothes feel basic. Your weekend plans feel boring. And the moment your income rises, your brain starts creating a new identity. You don't think, I'm increasing my fixed expenses. You think, I deserve this. And honestly, sometimes you do. If you worked hard, you want to enjoy your money. That's normal. But here's what most people don't realize. The danger isn't enjoying your money. The danger is turning temporary wants into permanent monthly obligations. A vacation is expensive once. A nicer apartment is expensive every month. A dinner out is expensive once. A car payment is expensive every month. A new outfit is expensive once. A lifestyle built around constant upgrades is expensive forever. And this is why the mistake is so hard to see. Because lifestyle inflation doesn't feel like inflation. It feels like progress. You're not thinking, I'm becoming financially fragile. You're thinking, I'm finally living better. And that's exactly why every generation falls for it. Let's use a simple example. Imagine two people. Person A earns $3,000 a month. Person B earns $5,000 a month. At first glance, person B should be way ahead. They earn $2,000 more every single month. That's $24,000 more per year. But here's what usually happens. Person A earns $3,000 and spends $2,800. So they save $200 a month. Not amazing, but at least something. Person B earns $5,000, but upgrades everything. They move into a nicer apartment. They get a newer car. They eat out more. They travel more. They start buying things they used to avoid. And now, they spend $4,950 a month. So they save $50. Person B earns $2,000 more per month, but saves $150 less. That sounds ridiculous, but this is real life for a lot of people. Because wealth is not built by income. Wealth is built by the gap between what you earn and what you spend. And the bigger that gap is, the more financial options you have. If you earn $5,000 and spend $5,000, you are not financially free. You are just running on a more expensive treadmill. And the scary part is, the treadmill gets faster as your lifestyle gets bigger. A small emergency at $3,000 a month might be stressful, but a small emergency at $5,000 a month with rent, car payments, credit cards, insurance, and subscriptions, that can become a crisis. This is why income alone doesn't solve money problems. More money helps. But if your habits expand at the same speed as your income, you don't actually move forward. You just become broke at a higher level. Now, every generation thinks their financial challenges are unique. And to be fair, some things really are different. Housing costs have changed. College costs have changed. Interest rates change. Job markets change. Technology changes. But the pattern is the same. One generation bought bigger houses than they could comfortably afford. Another generation financed cars to match their new income. Another generation used credit cards to maintain a lifestyle. Another generation is using buy now pay later apps, subscriptions, and delivery services to make spending feel painless. Different tools, same mistake. The mistake is building the lifestyle first and hoping the financial foundation catches up later. It's like building the second floor of a house before pouring the concrete. At first, it looks like progress. You can point at it and say, look, I'm building something. But eventually, the structure starts shaking. And the shaking usually begins when life happens. A job loss, a medical bill, a rent increase, a car problem, a family emergency. And suddenly, the lifestyle that felt normal becomes a trap. This is why emergency savings matter so much. According to the Federal Reserve's most recent household well-being data, only about 2/3 of adults said they could cover a $400 emergency using cash or its equivalent. Think about that. A $400 emergency. Not $4,000, not $40,000, just $400. And for millions of people, that small shock is enough to push them into debt. That's not because every person is lazy. That's because many people built a financial life with no shock absorbers. A car has suspension because roads are not perfectly smooth. Your financial life needs savings because life is not perfectly predictable. But most people don't build suspension. They build speed. They focus on going faster, earning more, upgrading more, looking better, and keeping up. Then, they hit one bump and wonder why everything breaks. Now, you might be thinking, okay, Jack, but if this is so obvious, why do people keep doing it? Because our brains are terrible at handling gradual change. If your rent went from $1,200 to $2,200 overnight, you would panic. But if it happens slowly, over a few years, you adjust. If your subscriptions went from $20 to $250 overnight, you would cancel everything. But one subscription here, one app there, one monthly payment over there, and suddenly, your money is leaking quietly. That's called lifestyle creep. And the reason it works so well is because every individual upgrade feels reasonable. $12 a month? That's nothing. $80 for dinner? It was a special occasion. $300 car payment? Everyone has one. $150 on clothes? I needed them. $6 coffee? It helps me get through work. Individually, these decisions don't look dangerous. Together, they become a financial identity. And once your brain accepts a lifestyle as normal, cutting back feels like losing status. This is the psychological trap. You don't just lose the expense. You feel like you're losing who you became. Going from a $1,200 apartment to a $2,000 apartment feels like progress. Going from a $2,000 apartment back to a $1,200 apartment feels like failure. Even if it's the smartest financial move. That's why lifestyle inflation is so powerful. It attaches money to identity. You're not just buying convenience. You're buying the feeling that you've made it. And once that feeling becomes addictive, math starts losing. There's another piece people don't talk about enough. Every generation compares itself to other people. But today, the comparison is nonstop. Your grandparents might have compared themselves to neighbors. Your parents might have compared themselves to coworkers. But now, you compare your life to thousands of people on your phone. Every day, people your age buying homes, people your age traveling, people your age starting businesses, people your age wearing expensive clothes, people your age eating at restaurants you can't afford. And even when you know social media is fake, your brain still reacts to it. Because your brain doesn't say, this is a carefully edited highlight reel designed to create emotional pressure. Your brain says, why am I behind? And that feeling is expensive. Feeling behind makes people spend money to catch up. They buy the car. They book the trip. They upgrade the phone. They move to the nicer place. They say yes to plans they can't afford. Not always because they truly want those things, but because they don't want to feel like they're falling behind. And here's what most people don't realize. A lot of the people you're trying to keep up with are also broke. They're just broke with better lighting. They're stressed too. They have payments too. They have debt too. They also wonder where their money went. But from the outside, it looks like success. And this is how whole generations end up copying each other into financial stress. This is where lifestyle inflation becomes dangerous. Because at first, you can only inflate your lifestyle as much as your income allows. But debt changes that. Debt lets you live tomorrow's lifestyle today. Credit cards, car loans, personal loans, buy now, pay later, financing, minimum payments. All of these things make expensive choices feel smaller. A $1,200 phone feels painful, but $33 a month feels manageable. A $30,000 car feels huge, but $500 a month feels normal. A $2,000 vacation feels irresponsible, but splitting it into payments makes it feel harmless. The problem is that monthly payments are financial termites. One doesn't destroy the house, but enough of them quietly eat the structure. And eventually, your paycheck arrives already spent. Before you buy food, before you save, before you invest, before you do anything meaningful, the money is already promised to the past. That's what debt does. It turns yesterday's decisions into today's stress. According to the New York Fed, total U.S. household debt reached about $18.8 trillion in the first quarter of 2026. Now, not all debt is bad. A mortgage can be productive. Student loans can be useful if the degree actually increases income. Business debt can make sense if it's calculated. But consumer debt used to support a lifestyle? That is one of the fastest ways to lose control of your money. Because now you're not just fighting your expenses, you're fighting interest. And interest does not care about your feelings. Let's talk about the hidden cost. Because when people spend $300, they think the cost is $300, but it's not. The real cost is what that $300 could have become. Let's say you spend an extra $300 a month on lifestyle upgrades. Maybe it's eating out more. Maybe it's subscriptions. Maybe it's a slightly nicer car. Maybe it's random online shopping. $300 a month doesn't sound life-changing, but $300 a month invested consistently for 30 years, assuming an average 8% annual return, becomes roughly $447,000. Almost $500,000. That's the part people miss. Small monthly decisions don't feel important in the moment because the future is invisible. You feel the pleasure of spending immediately. You don't feel the pain of missing out on compound growth until decades later. That's why this mistake repeats. Every generation underestimates time. When you're 22, retirement feels fake. When you're 32, it feels far away. When you're 42, it starts feeling real. When you're 52, you start saying, I wish I started earlier. And that sentence has been repeated by every generation. Because compounding is boring at first. It looks unimpressive. $100 invested doesn't change your life. $500 invested doesn't feel exciting. $1,000 invested still feels small. But the magic of compounding is that it rewards people who keep going before it looks impressive. It's like planting a tree. For years, it looks like nothing is happening. Then one day, the shade is obvious, but most people keep digging up the seed because they're impatient. This is also why retirement savings are such a big problem. According to Vanguard's How America Saves report, the average retirement account balance may look decent on paper, but the median balance is much lower. And the median matters because it shows the typical person, not the average pulled up by people with very large accounts. That gap tells us something important. A lot of people are technically participating in retirement plans, but not saving nearly enough to create real freedom. And again, this isn't always because people don't care. It's because retirement competes against today's lifestyle. The vacation feels real. The new car feels real. The apartment feels real. The emergency feels real. The future version of you, that person feels imaginary. So people keep borrowing from their future self. Not always directly, but through choices. Every time you spend everything you earn, you are telling